Ladies and gentlemen, we want to welcome you once again to the Extreme Racing League's X3 division as they're entering their 10th race of the season here in Austria. We're roughly halfway through the season, but the championship points battle has only truly started to take a true shape going forward. I'm being joined in the booth here today with me is XRL Jono. Jono, I want to thank you very much for having you in the booth today. What do you have to say looking forward to this race?
It's my pleasure. I'm looking forward to the race. We've got a lot of guys that really love this track. A lot of them say that it's their favourite track, so I think we're going to see some mighty fine battling.
I can't blame him one bit for this. This is a very simplistic circuit on the outside looking in, not a very complicated track map as we brought up very briefly here, but that doesn't change the fact that there's a lot of opportunities to make things happen, and not just that, there are a lot of opportunities to make really significant mistakes. Really easy to get your car a little bit hyper-rotated on the exit corners and go right around. With the way these cars are really oversteery in F1 2020, we could be looking at a very, very interesting situation there. We're looking at maybe 17 to 18 drivers showing up to today's event, a little bit smaller than normal here, as we're going ahead and try and give you a rundown for our teams and drivers. For the Mercedes team, we're going to be having XRL Snake and XXX Books XXX driving. In the Scuderia Ferrari team, XRL Smash and XRL Turbo will try desperately to start turning the tide for the Ferrari luck. For Aston Martin, Whippy will be joined by teammate Elfin Starfish 19. Whippy had a decent run go sour last week when we were in France. Hopefully it's not going to turn out the same way again from this time. For the McLaren team, Careless Jackson, XRL Stumpy will be charging in with those orange Paya orange machines. Renault only has one driver showing up at the moment. We're hoping a second one will show up, but we're not counting on it too much. That's King Joffrey 2261. He will be in the Renault today. For the Scuderia AlphaTauri Honda team, XRL Herbie and Boothy 116 will be with us. BWT Racing Point F1 team will have Retroixie and Find Waldo. I don't have to worry about finding Waldo, he's right there in that pink suit. Then you have Alfa Romeo Racing, and there's going to be XRL Cargo and Otwi in that team. Haas is going to be represented by XRL Gusty, as WCD Hubert has taken a race ban from what I believe to be excessive aggressiveness on the racetrack. Then in the Williams team, Schold is going to be driving for them, and that is the drivers we'll be looking at for today's race. Slightly smaller lobby than normal today, but we could still be looking at a very, very interesting event. This also means that qualifying, making it out qualifying 3 and qualifying 2 is going to be even more hair-raising because there are only 2 drivers who will not make it in the next round. If you're not making it in the next round, that's really not going to look good on you going into today's race here. We are now beginning to ready up our, well, it said we were beginning to ready up our race lobby.
Yeah, I think we've had somebody just drop out at the last second, so we're just going to wait for them to come back in.
Boothy might have just dropped over to spectator mode there. That's interesting. I mean, I've worked with Boothy in the booth before, and, like, he's fine commentator, but I don't remember him signing up for broadcasting today.
He'll struggle. There's not a lot of space in here.
Yep. We need to make extra sure that we're maintaining proper distance with the whole COVID-19 thing. That's why I'm staying here in Utah in America, and I'm assuming you're staying back in the homelands of Great Britain.
Yeah, I'm in southwest of England. He's still not selecting his car.
He's in the AlphaTauri now, so...
Okay. That's right, that's what he was in before. He is reserved today. He's due to get a full-time seat. As soon as one becomes available, it's going to be between Booty and maybe Herbie. They're both ready. They're out to fast today.
Here we are. Now there's the good old countdown. And here we get underway. Alright, so time to load into Austria. Austria has been a circuit that's been hit and miss on the Formula 1 calendar for a while here, but personally, I think this is one of the better circuits. It's not been like hugely tilkified. It still has a lot of classic stylings to it that you would see from a track in the 70s, 80s, or 90s, and I really, really like that. You've also got a lot of nice long straights with some tight, not really technical, but tight and almost hairpin-like corners, which leads to a very, very interesting scenario. And one of my favorite entire complexes here, personally, is the entire front straightaway, uphill, braking, then you have a very, very slight downhill gradient in turn 1 as you turn to the right, and it's a more than a 90-degree corner. Another really not quite straight, but straight in the sense that you're on full throttle all the way through. Then turn 2 is another slightly more 90-degree right-hand corner, but that one has an even steeper downhill gradient. It can be really, really easy to get too excited trying to turn and make the corner, spin yourself around coming out of there. I've tried running, I'm not very good at this game. I tried running F2s from time to time, and I was running F2s here yesterday, and turn 2 and to a lesser extent turn 3 on exit really gave me a lot of problem with oversteer. Hopefully the drivers here have enough experience and a good enough car setup that won't be too much of an issue today. Alright, and it looks like we have a low cloud cover here in the mountains of Austria, so be interested to see if we have any rain. Big thing that happened at France was that rain dropped early on in Q2 but gradually faded away, and that meant that a lot of drivers we normally don't see making it higher than 13th or 14th in qualifying ended up making it into the Fast 10 shootout. Really spiced up the early results of our France race. Be interested to see if we have a similar thing here. But our first drivers are now moving out into the track, and that is Elfin Starfish we are looking at right now. He is on the straightaway run down into turn 2 at the moment. Per usual, it'll take him about a lap to get tires warmed up, get ready, and then they'll be on their first flying laps for what is a 17 minutes left in our qualifying 1 session.
I just had word from one of the drivers that they're looking at wet qualifying instead of 1 session, but the race is going to be dry.
If this ends up being true, then it will be highly, I guess favorable would be the best term to use. It would be highly favorable to get out there and set your fastest lap as early as possible for each of the 3 sessions. Now have another set of tires ready to go, obviously, if you end up getting a clean track at the very tail end of one of the sessions. But for now, I think going out there, getting the fastest you can do. Also an interesting thing would be who's going to try, if the track starts getting wet, who's going to try and jump and run a lap on soft tire compounds on just a damp track. It's a very, very difficult thing to do, but if you can make it work, it really will work out well for you. And I'm actually riding on board with XRL Whippy right now, and yes, I can definitely see some very light sprinkling on the circuit. The circuit doesn't seem wet yet, but there's definitely a little bit of sprinkling from his onboard.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a little while yet before we start seeing intermediates and wet tyres. It's probably looking at Q2, I think. Most drivers will set a time now whilst it's still mostly dry on the soft tyres, and then Q2 I think it's probably going to be too wet.
We still have 2 drivers who have not yet left the pit lane. XRL Turbo is one of them, and actually as I was saying that, XRL Snake is now migrating out of the pit lane. So yeah, XRL Turbo has not yet left the pit, and there's a yellow flag up there in Sector 2. I believe one of the Force India Racing points have pulled over for a second. He's back underway now. And our first time on the timesheets, 1:04.249. That is by Elfin Starfish in the red.
That's a pretty good time. Considering the damp conditions, that's very quick. XRL Turbo is going to qualifying bump, so he will only leave the pits for an installation lap to set his red setup and locked in.
Alright, so with XRL Turbos taking a qualified ban, it's going to continue to make Ferrari's time this season extremely difficult. But this also means that there's only one spot then, one driver who will not migrate into Q2 here. So I think for a lot of the drivers, just getting a reasonably fast banker lap in right now will be very important. There shouldn't be too much of a fight onto making it into Q2.
I think Stumpy is going to have to improve on a 112.9. I'm not sure that's going to be enough to see him through.
Currently, he's got the DRS open here on the second straight. Not really a true back straight on this circuit, so I'll just probably use the term second straight and third straight to reference those. But yeah, you make a good point as he's now going through sector 2. That's a good 6 seconds off of Whippy, who is our 7th fastest right now. He's gonna have to make something happen. Well, a little bit crazy there as he got 2 tires into the grass. We were riding on board with him. The track is definitely wetting up and it is not treating Stumpy very well at all. He's banking it in. Alright, so Books has invalidated his first lap. He is now on a second lap attempt as he's running down the second straight right now. He has a decent amount of ERS still, about 44%. The thing is, I'd be more worried about if he can keep it clean as this track is gradually wettening up. I'm not even 100% sure that's a proper word, wettening. But as the track is gradually getting wetter, I think I prefer wettening. We also have Retro, who is on his second lap on these softs, but he also has yet to actually put a clean lap down, and he's going to stay out another lap. He's really playing with disaster here, trying really hard to push on a track that's getting wet on soft tires that are also getting worn. Boothie is in a different scenario. He's finishing up his second lap, but he will mark this as a time. So Boothie's first time, 106.143. That's good enough for 12th on the timesheets right now.
The good thing about soft tyres here is that they do last a long time, so you could be looking at 16, 17 laps during the race on a full-time fuel. So it's not such an issue for them to 3 or 4 laps during qualifying. You wouldn't see that same degradation that you would see normally. You're right,
so I will admit when I was I will admit when I was doing a little bit of personal F2 running here yesterday, I was running the super softs and not normal softs. I know they were F2, not F1, so my perception of how the tires wear is definitely going to be off. New fastest time at the top of the timesheet says Elfin Starfish, 104.249, so good job on his end. And yes, Retro is finally going to come in. It looks like the track is just getting too far away, and his ERS was only about 14% when he came in, so he wouldn't have been able to make another lap anyway. So Retro is the one driver who has yet to make a bank for lap, and they have XRL Stumpy. He's still on the softs. He's on the out lap again. He's trying to improve on a 112.943. That is the slowest time we have thus far by 6 full seconds. I'm going to just be quiet for... Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, there's always quite a lot of something in qualifying. I'm not sure if he's actually managed to finish the qualifying session so far this week. He might have actually got it to Q2 once, but he normally goes out because of his time, or he goes out because he doesn't want to work. So it's always fun to watch.
And he is... Yeah, it's gonna... Oh! Well, not him, but his teammate Careless Jackson has gone ahead and retired from our section. So it looks like one of the McLarens are relatively well set up. Hopefully, Careless Jackson can transfer the information over to Stumpy if he can't improve on his time soon. I didn't expect someone to start retiring from the qualifying session that early, but Careless Jackson has every reason to be confident with a 105.563. I think there's really no risk of him or basically anyone in the top 10 times getting knocked out right now.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Stumpy is 6.2 seconds faster after stop 2. He's looking at improving, but it might not be enough to get him ahead of Brooks.
Oh, Stumpy really sideways there in the very last corner, but here we are, run down to the start-finish line. He does improve to 107.654, but that's not enough to improve him overall. Retro still has to get out there and set a lap because the track is getting wetter. He's on the red soft compounds again, but the track is getting away, so it's going to be between Stumpy and Retro to make it into Q2 here.
The Retro's back on those same tires. He's already changed into a fresh track. So as he's saying,
Must be
top
feeling-
tires in the race.
I guess so, where he must feel really confident with his ability to get into Q2 and trying to keep an extra set ready for there, possibly. I don't know, it's going to be interesting to see, to say the least.
Retro Racing was awarded the race win last week after the week's two of the quali. He had some velocity to move and the driver followed him on the half still ended up taking the race win. Also posthumously, but nobody died. I think
The race died.
Yeah, he wouldn't have break his arm. He was first up right for that race. That was good. That was good for him. He also got driver of the day, both supported by the other drivers.
He did put on a very solid show last week. Last week at France was definitely a little bit more tame and muted at the front than what we were used to, but a pass for the lead with 2 laps to go then got changed and unchanged afterwards when it came to penalties being handed down and rescinded. That's one of the interesting things about trying to cover and broadcast Formula 1 races in general, whether it be real life or fictional. The actual final results for a race could be a little bit unknown until the very end. It doesn't happen as much in real life, but it's happened a few times here at XRL. Retro's now on the run down to the final corner. Very careful. Runs a little bit wide, but it's still green. So at the line, Retro will set a time of 108.886. So not good enough to get ahead of XRL Stumpy yet. But he's going for another lap.
Yeah, I think Retro did have to pull out there. He didn't just have to do it. I think this is probably his last chance.
Stumpy is in the pits, and I imagine they might be looking at swapping his tire compounds or adjusting the setup. Because if Retro can get a good lap in, he'd make it. Now the gap between Stumpy and Retro is 1.2 seconds, and with the track getting wetter and wetter, it's going to be harder and harder for Retro to get it. But he's definitely one of the drivers who I say could make something happen here on a wet circuit. Stumpy is now on another outlap, and he has also stuck with the same set of red tires. So drivers not either the telemetry is not updating properly, or the tires have not been swapped for a little while on Retro and Stumpy. Snake, Ottawi, Gusty, Smash, Joffrey, and Starfish have all gone ahead and retired from the session right now.
Retro's into the pits.
Oh, Retro wrecked it in the pits!
He was looking up to
The
this.
game the game reset him, but that got more than a little bit nutty. So the pit lane is definitely getting extremely wet as well. That will be something to take note of. But right now, there's only 2 cars on the track. That is XRL Whippy, who's currently 10th on the timesheets, and XRL Stumpy, who's out trying to set another outlap, and he turns it around, and he wrecks the car! On the very last corner rundown, he turns and ruins the car. Absolute travesty. So we now know that XRL Stumpy pushing too hard. He had the time, but he wasn't guaranteed it was going to stay. He pushes too hard, and he wrecks the car on the run down to the final corner in his outlap. Well, now the challenge for Retro is he still needs to get better than Stumpy's time, because just because Stumpy is wrecked out, it doesn't mean that Retro gets into the next session automatically. Retro still needs to find 1.2 seconds to get ahead of Stumpy, otherwise he also will get knocked out of Q1. I do kind of wonder what Whippy's doing. He's out here, he's already 10th, there's not really any risk of him getting eliminated, unless he wrecks, obviously, so I'm kind of curious if he's maybe just trying to get a little bit more comfortable and familiar with the track. But again, if the race itself is intended to be under dry circumstances, I don't know. I'm just a little bit, I'm puzzled a bit at what Whippy is trying to do at the moment. His times have dropped to a 1:14 that prior lap. He's also pushing a long way on these tires, and DRS has been disabled. this is not looking good for Retro, because even if Retro comes back out into the circuit with no DRS, he's going to have to work hard to find 1.2 seconds, especially with the track getting so wet, so much more wet. He's going to have more drag on the straights. I think we're going to see both Stumpy and Retro not be able to make it into our next qualifying session. Oh, there goes Whippy, and he turns it around there in the third turn, and he's going to knock off part of the front wing. That's why I said I don't know why he's staying out there on the circuit. There's just a risk of totaling and damaging the car. He wasn't improving on the times at all. Hopefully nothing else goes early for him, because he still needs to make it around about third of the circuit before he comes into the pits. And no one else is exiting pit road. I think everyone else is going to have to stick with the times they have. For Retro, that's really not a good thing. He's not going to make it into Q2, though.
Retro sent me a message to say he's not going to be going back out again because it's now too wet for the dry size. So it's not going to improve.
Alright, so Retro Rixie has forfeited any attempt at improving on his time. Now with everyone else having... No, that's not true, because it just says that Retro swapped onto the intermediates on the thing, so he might try to make something happen. It's a risky gambit, but he might be able to make it work. There's a little bit less than... There's about 2 minutes and 45 seconds out there, so if he gets out there, he would have 1, maybe 2 laps to set a time with, but he needs to start getting out there now if he's going to do it. No one else is on the track. He would have a clean circuit all around him. I don't know if he's going to have it, because the intermediates are not going to be very fast tires, and
here he goes.
You're not going to be taking... Yeah, he's going to try it. This is going to be really crazy here. He's going to be coming onto the circuit with about 2 minutes, so he'll have 1 lap, because it will take him about... He'll take him pretty much 1... Yeah, he'll have 1, maybe 2 laps if he's really fast, but I think 1 lap is the time he's going to have, and he has to make up 1.2 seconds. I don't know if it's going to happen. Yeah. I mean, I've been wrong before, but I was in Vegas over this week, just stopping through for a business trip. I should have put money down on Retro not making it into Q2 if I had a good enough sense of foresight. But who knows? Who knows? Maybe Retro will make the alternate universe me lose some money, and he can go ahead and earn not just a better time, but a berth in qualifying 2.
I mean, if he makes it through, I think we just give him the race and we call it off, because that would be pretty amazing if he can manage to knock off a couple of seconds. Oh, he only needs to get ahead of Stumpy, so it's 1.2 seconds.
Yes. Yeah, it's 1.2 seconds of time he needs to pick up. I'm just going to be quiet and let the onboard do the talking here for this final lap, maybe 2 laps of running here.
Well, if you can do it 1 or 2 in the first lap, and jump on second one.
Oh! Well, so much for that. He did not damage the car, but he went around. That's going to negatively affect his time, and with only 40 seconds on the clock, he's not going to be able to get around in time to set another lap. I think it's pretty obvious now that Retro is not going to be able to make it work. Yeah, he's already 11.5 seconds up off of his best time, which is a 108. So yeah, Retro, it's not going to work for you, mate. I'm sorry. Admirable attempt, though, but yeah, the way these corners, primarily the first 3 corners, are laid out, it's very, very difficult. Not technical in a conventional sense. It's just very difficult to keep the car properly planted. We're looking at cars that range between 900 and 1150 braking horsepower, depending on what you're in, and he's ran wide there, so this lap's been invalidated, so yeah, he's not making it.
Yeah, that's a shame. I feel since the moment we looked at this thing. Lost him before we had last week. Looks like he's going to finish the lap anyway. He's in the qualifying.
Yep. Don't have to run that post-qualifying clock down too far, because he was the only driver out on the circuit. So, our three drivers who will not make it to the next session: XRL Turbo, who is suffering a qualifying ban, Retro Ixie, and XRL Stumpy, who wrecked out. So only 14 drivers will make it into qualifying 2, where we will set the tire compounds for the race, and depending on how wet the track is, this could get really interesting for who's going to be running what tires. Excuse me. Well, this is interesting. So right now, all 14 of our drivers are on the full wet tires. I've never seen anyone actually run full wets in the XRL X3 series yet. Granted, I've only been around for most of this season and a few races at the end of last year, but I've almost always just seen people running wets or intermediates. Gusty is on the medium tire compounds right now in the pits. I imagine they'll probably adjust that. But our first driver off on the track has already ruined the front wing. That's Boothy, and he hit the pit lane exit wall on the way out, and he's already knocked a little bit of that front wing off, so things already going sideways here at the Red Bull Ring. Curious to see if anyone else has similar damage. It doesn't look like anyone else has similar damage yet. Here come the two Red Bulls of Elfin Starfish and Whippy. Now here's the other thing to take a note. Because of how wet this track is, you can see it's just pouring down at this point. Because of how wet the track is, there will be no DRS. So the ideal thing you'll want is to get nice clean track around you. This is not a very large circuit. Granted, it's not nearly as small as Monaco, but it's not a very large circuit, so it'll be a little bit hard to find some clean track here today. That is the Renault of King Joffrey, who is now on his way out of the pits as well. But our first driver across the line will be XRL Smash. He has already invalidated his first lap. Granted, it's an out lap, but it's invalidated. And yes, it looks like Boothy has gone ahead coming to the pits to repair the wing damage that he took before he even got onto the racetrack proper. But yeah, Smash is going to have an invalidated first lap as well, so he's going to have to be really careful here in that invalidated lap right to start the event. In fact, I'm going to be curious who is going to be the first person. Is it Schold? I think Schold will be our first driver to put down a lap time here. Running down the second straightaway right now. It's still clean for him. It says he's up in Sector 1. We're going to be looking at very, very slow lap times, though, compared to earlier. We've seen 104s in Q1 early on a dry track. We are definitely not going to see that now. And at the line, the first time of the day will be Schold with 1:17.132, immediately knocked off the top by Carlos Jackson with 1:16.131. And now XRL Snake goes even higher than that, 1:15.616. And we're going to be seeing XRL Herbie coming across the line. He's going to go up to third, 1:16.939. So quite a significant spread amongst our first four drivers across the line here. Ottawi has crossed the line, but his first lap has been invalidated, and Elfin Starfish goes back to the top, 1:15.153 in the Red Bull. It seems like the Red Bull team, since Starfish has joined, has been a tale of extreme feast or famine. Feast for Starfish, famine for Whippy. Whippy has set his time down, 1:17.285 now.
When I saw Slick Sam,
Joffrey.
I thought I wasn't going to get beaten to that. I thought 15.6 was ridiculously fast in the full laps. I thought 1:40.
Here's even faster. Yeah, 1:14.9. I need to go open up the box of Crayola so I can color I can color the two of us in the color known as Impressed.
Yeah, 100%. Oh, I hope it doesn't affect things tonight, otherwise I would have been dead last.
Here is XXX Books. XXX as he has now begun his move out of the pits. Boothie is back out with a clean new front wing, and he is now beginning to set his lap. Ottawee is going to come around the final corner. This will be his attempt to set a lap. It's taking him a little bit longer than most of the other drivers, but at the line, Ottawee will set a time of 1:15.512. Oh, wow! Boothie really sideways. It's sideways enough to turn him around there in Sector 3. He's just going to spin it around, trying to put the power down. A little bit too aggressive there. Now, thankfully, there was no one around him, and he was too far away from walls to really damage the car, but Qualifier is not treating Boothie very well, and Schold is apparently swapping to the intermediates. He must feel a lot of confidence.
Tailspin there. He went left and right again.
Yeah, that was a spin about 5 seconds in the making at least. Now, I only really caught the very tail end of it. Ha! But yeah, Boothie has now set a time, 1:35.437. Obviously, if he can repeat that lap without the spin, he might be able to set a better time than that. Starfish also is apparently swapping onto the intermediate tire compounds. I'm not sure if the track is drying out. It doesn't look like it's drying out. I don't know if it's drying out or the driver is willing to push just that extra little bit to try and get a slightly better qualifying start for Q1. Whippy now moves up to 9th on the time sheet, 1:15.947. So Schold's time of 1:17 now seems significantly slower. I guess I can't really say I'm surprised that he's looking to swap onto the intermediates. And no, Starfish goes back to the full wets, actually.
Starfish is even faster, 14.5.
Still watching Boothie on my end. He's being a little bit careful this lap, more interested in trying to set a more honest lap than anything else. So Herbie, Schold, Books, and Gussie all apparently have migrated onto the intermediates. And yes, Boothie has now set a lap, but it was a slow lap. He was extremely cautious during it, 1:22.062. He's still 5 seconds out from 10th. And when Books and Gussie and Waldo, I assume, all set their times, I don't think it will be good for him. Now, granted, for Books and Gussie, they're on the intermediate tire compounds. Things could go a lot worse, a lot faster for them. Riding on board with Books here, you can see Gussie and the Haas just ahead. It will be very interesting to see. And now Herbie and Schold on the intermediates are also both going out there. This is going to get interesting. Joffrey has gone ahead and jumped into the pits. He's the only driver thus far to have broken the 1:15 barrier, and broken it, he has 1:14.551. Impressive, doesn't matter what, I don't care how you look at it, I think that's impressive considering that in the wet, your best time is 0.6 faster than the next closest person. And Starfish is no slouch in qualifying either. Snake now moves up in second on the time sheets, 1:15.038. Boothie finally puts a good lap down, 1:16.235, but now everyone ahead of him and behind him on the timesheets, well, immediately ahead and behind him on the timesheets, are swapping to the intermediate tires, so Boothie might have put that down too little, too late. He may have to jump in and swap tires real shortly here. Has the purple fur first sector here in the Haas. Brooks, I believe, is in a similar position. These two are going to be the interesting ones to watch, as will be Schold, because Schold is coming into turn 2 now, and he's one of the drivers on the intermediates. Joffrey is swapping over to the intermediates and is now on an outlap as well. Karras Jackson has pulled over there on the run down to turn 3. He's not in the way of any of the other drivers. He's pulling over, so he's not in the way of the other people. Here comes Gusty, second to last corner. Now the really difficult and tricky run to the final corner. Sticks it all the way through, and at the line, XRL's Gusty's time is going to be a 1:14.144 right to the top, but Brooks has invalidated his lap time in comparison. So yes, either the track is drying out or the intermediates are obviously the preferable way to go, because Gusty went from not really competing to right to the top of the timesheets. This is going to be very interesting when Joffrey finally is able to complete a lap on these tires. Here comes Schold at the line. Schold on the intermediates, only a slight improvement, 1:16.125. It's really not looking good for Schold and the Williams right now. Brooks has yet to set a lap time, and here's the real strange part. Find Waldo has not yet left the pits. I don't know what's going on in that team, but there's less than 4.5 minutes left in the session, and he has not left the pits. And between Retro not being able to make it into Q2 and Waldo now sitting here in the pit lane, this is not going to be looking good for those Racing Point Force Indias at all. Two Alfa Romeos of Atui and Cargo are now on their way back out. They're on the intermediate. In fact, everyone has now abandoned wets altogether and have gone straight to intermediate tire compounds. Gusty to the top, 1:13.183. But where's going to be someone else possibly real shortly? Here's XRL Herbie. No, he's invalidated his time. Bucks goes up to second, 1:13.659. Here is Schold as he's doing the run down to the final 2 corners right now. A little bit sideways coming out the second to last corner. Doesn't matter. He's putting the power down. He's coming out to it, but his time is significantly slower at the line. 1:14.938. It doesn't matter. He took off 1.1 seconds. He's up into 5th now. Boofy with the 1:16. He's one of the drivers on the outside looking in. Whippy and Herbie both on the outside looking in as well. Smash right on that borderline. Smash might be able to make something happen with Ferrari if he's careful today. He's invalidated his current lap though. He needs to improve. He's at 1:15.630 right now. He needs to do better than that. Herbie is out there. He's run 2 laps on these tires, but he has not yet gotten a clean lap for the moment. Here's Whippy. XRL Whippy is back there in the 12th position, 1:15.947, as he is diving through sector 2, going into the 3rd corner here. Gotta be very careful. You don't want to oversteer X-Team that corner. And here's Boothby. He is on another outlap. He really is putting the abuse on the car right now, but I think he may have invalidated his next lap from cutting the final corner too tightly. Herbie has jumped into the pits here. I'm not sure what's gone on there, but he's jumping into the pits. He has not yet beaten Smash's time. Smash is now on another lap. He's going to try and improve. Gusty is into the pits. Karras Jackson is into the pits.
I'm not sure that Herbie's going to be able to get around the second of the lap.
It'll be really close. Whippy goes up to 8th now, 1:15.260. So yeah, Herbie might have just made the calls. It will be too little too late. He might not be able to make it into Q3 by virtue of running out of time.
Joffrey's just finished the cooldown lap, so he's now going for one last hot lap.
Joffrey is the fastest driver on track right now. Gusty has set a faster time, 1:13.183, but he has retired from the session. No need to push harder when the real pole is poised. And Snake! XRL Snake to the top, 1:13.117. Impressive job on his part. Karras Jackson has retired from the session. Cargo in the Alfa Romeo, second, 1:13.121. That's only 4 thousandths out from Snake right now. Whippy has been knocked out of the top 10 by his teammate Elvin Starfish. So Whippy is down the outside looking in. Starfish's time has not been that good. Schold has retired from the session as well now. Schold is 9th on the timesheets. I don't know if I'd feel comfortable being there, but he may have no choice. Herbie is on an outlap right now. Boothby, 116.235. Elephant Starfish, 115.153. Smash has made it work. He's out 114.304. Joffrey, fastest lap thus far in the wet, 112.334. He is putting his knees on the entire field right now, just saying, come and get me, and I don't think anyone else is going to even come close to getting him today. Waldo is on a lap. It's taken him a long time. He's going to be the last driver to set a time, and he goes off into the dirt. He has damaged the front ring already, and he goes off into the dirt. This is not going to go well. I don't think Waldo's going to be able to set any sort of decent time. He will set a time, but it won't be a decent time by any means. Here comes Boothby now in the run through the very last corner, and he's invalidated his lap. Boothby has invalidated his lap. He will not improve, but he will have just enough time to set maybe one more lap. No, the lap is invalidated regardless. Boothby will not be able to advance to the next session. Here is Herbie. Herbie is coming down the second straightaway. This is his last chance to try and improve. It's going to be between him and XRL Smash to be who will go into Q3 right now. Waldo is not going to make it. Boothby is not going to make it. It's either Smash or Herbie. King Joffrey coming into the pits after that incredible lap time. Now Starfish and Cargo were both able to get into the 112s also, but no farther than that. They weren't going to push too hard yet. They'll leave the real hardcore pushing into Q3. Smash on the run down to Sector 3 now, coming in the last two corners. Herbie about 7 seconds behind him, and Smash is actually going to come into the pits. He is not trying to improve his lap time, so it's all on to Herbie. Will Herbie be able to pick up what's basically 1.5 seconds here? Coming to the line. Yes, he does! 114.218 at the last minute. Smash in the Ferrari gets knocked out of Q3, so it will not be back-to-back fault line miracles for the Ferrari team. Herbie is going to bring it home for the AlphaTauri with his significant lead, considering that Boothby was not able to bring it in at the very end. And that will be the end of our session here. It says Elephant Starfish is on another lap, but I highly doubt it. I think the AI is taking that car over. So our top 10 going into Q3 is going to be King Joffrey in the Renault, Elephant Starfish in the Red Bull, XRL Cargo in the Alfa Romeo, XRL Snake in the Mercedes, XRL Gusty in the Haas, Atui in the Alfa Romeo, XXX Books XXX in the Mercedes, Carlos Jackson in the Renault, XRL Whippy in the Red Bull, and XRL Herbie in the AlphaTauri. Good job to Whippy to make it into Q3 for 2 weeks in a row now.
So I know why Waldo's been having problems. He's got no sound into his headphones, so he's having to do this in complete silence. And that is pretty off-putting. He's managed to get through these out right now, so he's going to have to do that.
Hopefully that will work out for him in the race. So a lot of technical issues, bans, spins, crashes, really whittling the field down here. So our top 10, as I already said, Whippy, Herbie, Jackson, Books, Atui, Gusty, Snake, Cargo, Starfish, and Joffrey. And we'll be loading into Q3 very shortly here. Here we are. It looks like the track is significantly drier for Q3, so that will definitely make things a lot more interesting. Everyone's going to be on the soft tower compounds. If I had to put my money on it, I think Elfin Starfish is probably going to end up walking out here with the pole position. But our first driver on the track is going to be XRL Gusty of the 10 here. A 12-minute session here will decide our top 10 starting spots for this race. And basically everyone is already out or on their way out of the pits, and most of the drivers are relatively well spread out. Now Gusty's actually going to pull over for just a second to enable, that is I believe, Herbie to go ahead and get ahead of him. Now the thing with Herbie though is that he's already invalidated this lap. Hopefully it doesn't carry on to the next lap. So I imagine Careless Jackson will be the first driver we'll see go on to the timesheets with a true pace lap, either him or Gusty. Yeah, a dried out qualifying 3. This is going to make things on the interesting side because a lot of this session has been run under wet or semi-wet conditions. So this is the first time we'll really get to see what these cars can do with full power and ability cranked out here. Gusty has gotten a purple Sector 2, now it's all about Sector 3 for him in that Haas. Doesn't run extremely wide on exit, and Herbie actually ends up being the first driver on the circuit with the time, 104.711, immediately topped by Gusty at the 104.548. Careless Jackson gets up the time with 105.214, and the next driver across the line is going to be Elfin Starfish, but this lap has been invalidated for him, so it's actually his teammate Whippy who will be the next driver to set a time. And Whippy's time is going to go up as a 105.777, and he's going to be followed shortly after by Augie, right to the top, 104.151. Then Bucks is going to show up with a 104.497. Here comes XRL Cargo into the last corner now, runs nice and wide, but at the line, Cargo is going to set a lap time of 104.225, so the two Alfa Romeos at the moment locking out the very, very top. And King Joffrey had a little bit of a runoff. He went way off the circuit there in the very last corner. That's going to invalidate that lap, and I think will invalidate his next one as well. So Joffrey not having a good time trying to put time down. Same with Snake. Snake is on another lap that's invalidated, as is Elfin Starfish. So 3 of our fastest qualifiers have put invalid laps down. There is still time, but typically you don't want to save the very best for last. Typically you don't want to save your fast banker lap for last. Typically you want to set that early on in the session and then improve afterwards as necessary. And actually Snake is pulled into the pits as well, so I'm not sure if that car has taken damage or if they want to try something else. Yeah, they're fully pulling it into the box. So I imagine when he actually comes out, he's only going to have a very, very short period of time to run a full-on flying lap. There's
Starfish is just invalidated his next lap as well.
Starfish has been was the fastest person in Q1 and was one of the fastest in Q2, but he seems to be having a lot of struggles trying to get a clean lap down in Q3. The sun is out. The temperatures are starting to get up there. Careless Jackson is one of the 2 cars still out on the circuit, the other one being Starfish, and Jackson at the line. Will he improve his time? No, it looks like it's still 104.911 at the moment. Here comes Snake. He is now on his way out of the pits, so he didn't spend too much time in there. Gusty is on an outlap as well, so once again the track is beginning to fill up. Starfish really needs to make something work and make something happen fast if he wants to start anywhere close to the front here. Will this be a lap he'll get clean? Yes, he's clean now. It's taken him 3 laps, but he might finally be able to put down a actual time representative of what him and the car's ability will have. Whippy and Snake are on their out laps, and now King Joffrey is beginning the run out of pit lane. So with 6 minutes and 10 seconds left in the session, I imagine we'll see our last 3 drivers set their times in the next 2.5 minutes. I say before we get to 3 minutes in the session, assuming nothing else goes wrong here. Gusty, although he's on an out lap, he's invalidated. I'll be curious to see if that carries over to the next one or not. And nope, he's gonna be clean. Carlos Jackson is coming into the pits while Books is still in the pits. His teammate XRL Snake is now crossing the line, and there is somebody who was running really wide there. That was one of the Alfa Romeos. That was Austria, actually. He's on an out lap. Ran a little bit slow for now, going into turn 2 in the second sector, but it's time for him. And there we are, Elfin Starfish to the top, 104.006. I'm just asking, do you think we're going to see somebody break the 104 barrier before time's up here?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're going to see it in 1.5. That's around the sort of benchmark we set yesterday in development. I'm pretty sure we've got 3 or 4 drivers that are capable of a sub 104 in this hobby today. Just got a couple of mistakes to stuff, which is that you won't be happy with. Looks like it's going again. He's still pushing.
He's got 35% in the ERS, so I do think he'll be able to make this lap full bore. He'll be able to knock the time down. Snake goes up to 3rd on the timesheets, 104.218. That's good enough to split the Alfa Romeos. King Joffrey has yet to have his lap in the books. He's still in Sector 2. Wow, what an improvement. 103.894. I said it before, I said it again. I think Elfin Starfish is more than likely going to get this pull. Now, he cut the circuit there in turn 1, but I think he's basically given up. There's not really a point to try and improve on this time. I think he's pretty much locked into at least the front row. And there you are. Joffrey sets the time 104.164. That's not good enough for the front row, let alone for pole. Ottaway's on the run through Sector 3 right now. Carlos Jackson has pulled off the circuit a bit back there in Sector 2, but there won't be too much of an issue. Ottaway, will he be able to get into the top spot at the line? Ottaway will set a time of 103.957, so he's closer, but close doesn't cut it here. That only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades. And I support both. Whippy having a bit of a struggle. He's the only driver yet to have not hit the 104 mark. He's still at 105.026. At the line there, he does it. He's going to move up into 8th, 104.706. So now Carlos Jackson is the one at the very back end of the field. He's on another outlap, though. But the spread between the fastest and the slowest is only about 1.1 seconds, so I'd say it's a relatively competitive Q3. I'd say despite all the seemingly random dropouts and instance of well-known drivers in Q1 and Q2, it looks like the drivers who made in Q3 are all pretty respectably fast in relation to one another. Kirby's going to run it a little bit wide and invalidate this lap as well, and he's already put 3 laps on those softs. You did say, Jono, that you can run a little bit longer than most other circuits on the sauce here, but still, it's time and rubber that I myself would not want to sacrifice. Here's XRL Cargo in one of the other Alfa Romeos. He's got 104.225. The top 3 are all into the pits right now. XRL Snake is attempting another outlap at the moment. That's Whippy coming in the pits, never mind.
Did Whippy just spin going into the pits then? I think he did. He had yellow flags, so he placed it on black.
When I looked at it real quickly, he was facing the right way, but yeah, he may have had a spin coming into the pits. I don't see any damage on that car for the brief second I was looking at it.
Yeah, so maybe not. We'll give him the benefit of the doubt.
Carlos Jackson has moved himself up into 6th on the timesheets, 104.444. XRL Cargo invalidates the lap that he was on at the last minute, so he's still stuck in the 5th position. Now, Snake and Godfrey are both on another set of outlaps, and with 1 minute and 25 seconds left, they're basically going to have this warm-up and then one flying lap. I honestly hope they're able to take the fight right to Open Starfish here. Austria is now on an outlap as well. I think he'll have just enough time to get across the line. Everyone needs to take at least a 1/10 of a second. In the case of Joffrey, he needs to take about 2/10 and some change off of his time. Snake needs to take about 3/10 off of his time if any of them want to get ahead. And Whippy has retired from the session in the pit lane. He is currently 9th on the timesheets. And while Herbie is running the circuit right now, his current lap is invalid, and I don't imagine he's going to be able to improve on his time. I'm not even sure if he'll be able to get around before time's up. His ERS level is extremely low also. So yeah, I think Whippy's locked himself in the 9th, and Herbie may have locked himself in the 10th.
Snake at the minute is about 3/10 slower than his best time. He should be able to start another lap. Oh, perhaps not, actually.
16, 15. It's going to be really close for him. No, he's banking into the pits. So it's all up to King Joffrey now.
No, Starfish just across the line again.
So Ottawi, Joffrey, and Starfish still in it right now. Joffrey will be the first of these three to set their time. He took off 400ths there in Sector 2, and he's apparently invalidated the lap. He has jumped into the pits. He will not improve. So now the question is Ottawi. Will Ottawi be able to improve? Coming out of the final corner, not the cleanest corner exit, Ottawi. Yes, he goes to the top, 103.821. What does Starfish have in the bag as he's rounding the very last corner? There's only about 700ths between the two right now. At the line, Starfish is going to put down 103.748. So Ottawi improves at the last minute, but it doesn't matter because Starfish seems to be just that much better of a driver when it comes to the clutch moment here. This is 2 qualified sessions that he dominates at the very end of it all. 1 in France and now here in Austria. So, very interesting. And that means that our lineup has been completed, so XRL Herbie will be 10th, XRL Whippy will be 9th, XXX Bucks XXX will be 8th, Careless Jackson will be 7th. Thank you, game. I totally wanted that taken away from me. Whatever. I'll go through it shortly here. So yes, Herbie in the AlphaTauri 10th, Whippy in the Red Bull Racing Machine 9th, Bucks is going to be starting 8th in the Patronus, Careless Jackson and McLaren will start 7th, Gusty with the Haas will start 6th, Cargo and Alfa Romeo 5th, Mercedes will have 4th with Snake, Joffrey in the Renault 3rd, Ottawi, Alfa Romeo in 2nd, and our pole setter is going to be Elfin Starfish for 2 races in a row in the Red Bull Racing Machine. Alright, so now we're beginning to load up into our actual proper race here. This standing by. Also of note is that we no longer do warm-up laps, so they're going to be starting these races on fully cold tires. That can lead to a lot of chaos here, considering that this is a uphill, semi-blind corner, tighter than 90 degrees, turning right, and the corner has a little bit of a downgrade in banking from the inside to the outside. So, yeah, this could be a very, very chaotic start, to say the least, from the back looking forward. Wouldn't be the first time we've had a chaotic start. XRL has had quite a few chaotic starts, actually. Most notable ones being at Baku and Monaco, in my personal opinion. Oh, also Netherlands, where the two Ferraris took each other out because there was just no room to get away from each other. So yeah, it's going to be a very, very interesting race start here. I also want to give a thumbs up to Whippy. That's 2 races in a row now that he has gone ahead and made it into qualifying Sector 3. Floor sounds a little bit different right there. That's interesting. Still stand by waiting for the lobby to properly load up here. Just taking its slow, easy time at the moment.
We've got about a minute before they'll be told to ready up. We have got a bit of an issue with somebody that was kicked out of the lobby. But that shouldn't be an issue. I think once people start readying up, I think it'll
Okay, so I'm just gonna ask for my sake, because I will admit I'm not the brightest person here. Everyone put their times down in Q2 with the intermediate tires. Does that mean everyone ends up starting on the intermediate tires by default, or do you automatically get a chance to swap to some sort of proper rubber for the race itself, considering the race is going to be dry?
No, they won't have to. So basically, the wet tires mean all of the rules about pit stops and tires go out the window. So they won't have to start on intermediate tires. They get free choice. If they've got enough tires, then they can start on a fresh set. But if they've used 17 different sets of mediums and softs, then it'll be a used set.
I don't think anyone went through 17 sets, though, but...
Maybe not, no. That might have been an exaggeration.
Yeah. Okay, so this means tire strategy is blown wide open. Real quickly before we get underway, what do you think is the optimum tire strategy for today's race?
It depends if you're inside or outside the top 10. If you're outside the top 10 and you've got fresh tyres, I would suggest going for a soft medium. Otherwise, it's going to be medium hard is the fastest. Well, I think everybody is going to have enough fresh sets of tyres, so I'd expect most people to do a soft medium.
I'd wonder personally if we might see something like a soft medium soft setup, simply because with so many tires available, if everyone else only tries to do one tire change, you might be able to do the Michael Schumacher Ferrari strategy, push harder with more sets of tires, and just be faster by virtue of having quicker laps overall. It'll be interesting to see. I'll be curious to see if anyone does that. And then again, we'll probably have some people who get knocked into that strategy. There almost always, in these X3 races, ends up being 1 or 2 people who have to pit after the first lap or so to repair something like front wing damage. So,
yeah, absolutely. The main reason why we don't have more two-stop races is because they lose so much time driving up and down the pit lane, because the pit lanes are so long and they don't often incorporate much of the final or first corners. Whereas if you've got somewhere like France, it pretty much gets rid of the last 2 corners. So it is more likely that you get a two-stop there because you're saving time by not taking those corners. But at Austria, you're still having to do those 2 corners, the final corner and the first corner.
yeah, and then there's also the fact that it's just because this race is shorter, only 50% the length of a full Formula One race, an extra stop isn't having its actual time reduced in comparison. So running more stops is actually a larger percentage of the race spent doing nothing, and overall that's very, very, very unideal in any circumstance. But it looks like we're going to be getting underway here in about 18 seconds.
Looks like we've got drivers ready now. We start in 10 seconds.
And once again, we no longer do pace laps in the series due to some glitches and stuff in the races. So we're going to be going right into race start. Already all the lights are on, and it's lights out, and away we go here at the Red Bull Ring. You can already see some little winglets and stuff bouncing around farther back there.
That's supposed to be a really clean start, though. That's quite impressive.
Yeah. But at the front, though, Elfin Starfish, there is literally no one in his same area code already. Everyone's still underway, at least, at the moment. I'm trying to get a good view on the front end of Turbo's car. He's 17th at the moment. And no, it looks like his car is sealed properly altogether. But yeah, it looks like no one has anything for Starfish, just like it was last week. Last week, the only reason Starfish ended up losing the race was because of a late race yellow. And in addition, there were a lot of penalties handed out and then removed post-race. So yeah, it looks like Herbie and Retro will be the 2 drivers who will have to pit for week 16. But other than that, it looks like everyone else is staying on the track. So like you said, even though we had another incident there in turn 2, overall it seems like a relatively clean start. Run down to turn 2, Stumpy is going to hold off Waldo. Waldo's on the outside. He's going to have a slightly better run, but Stumpy has the red soft tire compound. Here we go, run down the straight. No, it looks like Waldo's actually going to end up ahead of Stumpy for the moment. So move Waldo up into the 12th position. Meanwhile, a little bit farther up in the field, the 2 Alfa Romeos of Autony and Cargo right on top of each other. Now for Cargo, he needs to start getting in front of his teammate as soon as he can. He has the soft tire compounds. Everyone ahead and behind him is on mediums. So the longer he stays out there behind his teammate, the worse it's going to be Starfish. Another fastest lap in the race, 107.543. So yeah, nothing seems to be slowing him down, and Starfish is already walking off into the sunset. Doctor is the only person in a semi-comparable zip code, but even then the gap between the 2 is over 1.2 seconds. Schold has a 5-second penalty already. Man, I'll be right back. I need to adjust something real quickly. Technical issues.
Yep. No problem.
Alright. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen, but actually it looks like Cargo and Oddly are holding each other up just enough that's enabled Careless Jackson and XXX Books XXX to all come up to each other. So we have about 4 cars right on top of each other right there. A little bit farther back, here's Schold and 11, and he and Waldo is actually running away from this group. but Scholden 11th is holding up Stumpy behind him, and then Turbo is just a little bit farther back. So once the DRS opens, we could see two sets of interesting little battles. Starfish, again, fastest lap, 107.312. Literally no one is in his area code right now. Every single lap, he has set a faster and faster lap here. And Schold is actually coming into the pits right now. It looks like he had some wing damage, in fact. DRS has been enabled for various drivers here. Riding on board with Brooks as he's trying to come up. He's going to look to the inside. Carlos Jackson, huge dive, but he's going to mess the corner completely. And that's not only going to cost him a position, it's going to cost him a position he was already in and a truckful of time. He falls behind Snake, he falls behind Whippy. It was a desperate move. I will admit that I would be tempted to make that move also, but you see what happens when you give in to temptation. And interesting little bit here, Schold has gone ahead and swapped to the hard tire compounds, as has Retro. I wonder if the two of them will just try and run hards to the end of the day and then throw softs on in the very last 5 or 6 laps. It could be a possibility.
Yeah, absolutely. That's not a bad strategy, really, especially if they had damage in there to change it.
Meanwhile, back up in the points paying position, Whippy is the meat in a Mercedes sandwich right now with XRL Snake ahead of him and XXX right behind him. Not really close enough to do anything to Snake right yet. And turn 3 is really tempting to try and send a move up into. And if you can make it work, congratulations, but that's honestly not a practical passing zone. I'd say really the two best outright passing zones here are turn 1 and 2, and beyond that you're just kind of setting up for those corners. Again, if you can make turn 3 work, good luck, but it's just so difficult, tight, technical, not from a mechanic standpoint, more from a driver standpoint. I just don't really see it happen. Now, here's an interesting bit. Cargo has gotten by his teammate Ottoman. In fact, Cargo has actually caught Joffrey and is now dealing with him for the second position. That's not even a duel. Cargo is just going to walk by Joffrey as if he wasn't even there, pretty much. We'll use the DRS to get a little bit... No, actually, Joffrey's going to try and fight back here on this straight. He's got DRS. He's looking to the inside, but he's not close enough to make anything happen. He's not going to send it up like what we saw Books do. And Whippy has actually gotten ahead of Snake now. But Cargo is now 2.2 seconds out from the back of Elf and Starfish. Starfish isn't walking away quite as fast as he did in France, so if Cargo can put together some really good laps here before those tires go away, he might be able to close the gap and make strategy work in his favor here. But already of note is that a lot of our battles have already pretty much fizzled out. There is a battle here going on between the two Mercedes of Snake and Books, as they have gradually lost the back of Whippy and Jackson. But other than that, there doesn't seem to be a whole lot else going on. Yeah, it looks like this race has turned very calm relatively quickly here, by virtue of not having that first lap massive incident that we've seen quite often here in this series. Waldo now has a 3-second time penalty for multiple warning of track violations, so it looks like this will be another race where track violations might end up being a significant issue. Books is going to cruise by Snake. It almost looked like Snake gave him the position. Books does seem to be a little bit faster, assuming he's not too aggressive. He could definitely make things work. Whippy has caught Careless Jackson, and now Joffrey has a 3-second time penalty as well. But Whippy has caught Careless Jackson now, and the question is going to be, can Whippy make a move and get by Jackson before his soft tires start going away? He has about 6 laps on them. In fact, almost everyone who started on the soft tire compound has swapped over. The exceptions is Whippy, Cargo, and Stumpy, who are running 6th, 2nd, and 10th overall right now. And there's the DRS open for Whippy as they go down the front straight here. No move going into turn 1. In fact, he's actually going to run a little bit wide. He opens up the DRS straight again here on the second straight, and now Books is actually closing back in on this little feud. Now here's something else of note. It looks like Joffrey has caught Cargo again, but here we are. Carlos Jackson is right there fighting with Whippy side by side down the straightaway. Jackson's got the advantage per line, but Whippy has the DRS open, as does Books. Books is on the outside, and Books is going to try and make an outside pass on Whippy, but it doesn't work. This is the second time he gets into the grass. This time it was just barely a touch, but it was enough to keep him from making it work. So Jackson is holding up Whippy, and that in turn is holding up Books. In fact, Books is now potentially going to get passed by his teammate Snake again. No, actually Snake's going to hold off and let Books hold on to 7th for the moment. But yeah, 2 corners in a row. Books ends up running a little bit wide, not able to properly adjust to the aerodynamic wake of the 2 cars that are out in front of him. Once again, Whippy gets the DRS open, going down the front straightaway. He'll use this to close in on Carlos Jackson just a bit. And he might, if he exits turn 1 well enough, he'll get DRS again, and he might be able to just breeze by him with a DRS-assisted overtake. On the run down to turn 2, he's on the outside, and that is exactly what he's going to do. So move XRL Whippy up into the 5th position. It almost seems like ever since Alfred Starfish has joined the team, the entire Red Bull team in general has had a sudden resurgence in quality and ability, with Whippy now fighting for top 5s and Starfish pretty much dominating these races, although Cargo is whittling the gap between him and Starfish away, slowly but surely. And the main reason I'm focusing primarily on this battle is because this is the only real significant battle going on the circuit right now. Goofy, who is ranked 15th now, has a 3-second time penalty for track violations. He's one of the drivers who's already pitted. He's jumped onto the soft tire compound, so things are just not working out well for Goofy at all. So Joffrey is still hanging out to the back end of XRL Cargo. He's actually going to have the DRS open, looking on the outside. So Renault versus Alfa Romeo going into turn 2. He's on the outside, but Cargo is going to hold off. So Cargo shoots out with much better speed, going down the straight. In fact, he's actually going to be the one with DRS in relation to Joffrey, so he'll actually open up a bit of gap on Joffrey going into turn number 3 here. And Carlos Jackson has lost position to Books. So Books has gotten back into 6th, and he has to start working on Whippy again now. Oh, and now this time it's Snake's turn to run a little bit wide. He ends up in the grass while following in the wake of Carlos Jackson. So it seems like Carlos Jackson, not intentionally, obviously, but it looks like he's causing problems for the drivers behind him. We've seen a lot of drivers just making moves that normally would sick, just not being able to make it work. He's doing a good job using the air for his defense. Stumpy now has a 3-second time penalty. This looks like it's going to be one of those races where time penalties are going to be one of the main deciding factors at the tail end. Also, XRL Turbo in the Ferrari, he has now gone a lap down after having come in pit early to fix damage and get onto a different tire strategy. He's a lap down already. So our first driver to go a lap down, not a very great thing to say for the Ferrari team. Still not even a third of the way through this race, so looks like it's going to be another very, very difficult struggle. 2020 has been a very, very rough year for Scuderia Ferrari. And Boothie, another 3-second time penalty. Meanwhile, a little bit farther back, Stumpy has overtaken Waldo, so while one McLaren is trying to slowly move his way forward through the field, the other is trying desperately to stop from going backwards. That's Carlos Jackson.
Waldo and Stumpy, they're passing each other on every lap.
A big help with the DRS zones means that if you're just within about a 10th of the other driver in pace, you can stay hooked up with them for significantly longer and try to make things work, potentially wear them down. Whether you think that's quality overtaking or not, that's a debate for another time, but the facts are the facts. It does lead to more overtake overall. I'm not a huge fan of the DRS, but considering the way that Formula 1 cars have been engineered, it's kind of a necessary evil at this point. The entire battle from 8th to 5th has really closed up, and Joffrey, meanwhile, has gotten ahead of Cargo farther up there, so Cargo is now seeing those soft tires drop away on him, and the same thing for Whippy. Whippy is going to lose position to Books now, so I imagine both Whippy and Cargo will pit sooner rather than later. Those softs are not going to last them much, if any, longer today here. And Jackson goes around. He makes contact with Snake, and he's got to spin around. He's not in an area where he's going to impact anyone else at the moment, assuming he emerges back on the track properly. And now Waldo has a time penalty for track violations. But things not go very well for Careless Jackson there, to say the least. Still trying to merge back onto the track safely. Really difficult to do it there. Whippy is back in front of Books, actually. I didn't expect to see that happen, but now Books is going to make the overtake back on Whippy. Whippy, will he have the DRS? No, he will not have the DRS, I don't think. And even if it does, he has to hold off the other Mercedes. That is Snake. Snake will have DRS open, will breeze by. So now Whippy has fallen from 5th to 7th as the soft tire compounds are going away for him very rapidly. And the other one who is starting to see the tires go away is Cargo. Cargo, let alone keep up with Starfish, he's losing time to Joffrey now. Cargo and Whippy both need to come in and pit sooner rather than later to stop the bleeding. And now Turbo is a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. So yeah, this is definitely going to be one of those races where we won't really know the actual finish heat until after everything's done, simply because of all the penalties. And that's XRL Cargo. He has gone ahead and jumped into the pit lane. He is making his swap on tires, and I imagine he'll probably go to the medium tire compounds if he can. Joffrey now has a second penalty. But no, Whippy is actually going to stay out another lap, and Cargo is going on to the hards. So Cargo is looking to run hards for the rest of the day and not run hopefully to the front by virtue of not having to waste time pitting again. But it could work. The hards definitely will have quite a bit of longevity. A Snake now goes to the outside of Books. They've cleared out Whippy and Jackson ahead of them, but this has actually let Whippy come back into it. So Whippy is now fighting with Books going down the straightaway here. And there's a vertical safety car, yellow flag, as Books actually damaged his car. I didn't see what happened, I will admit. I saw Snake make an overtake on Books, and then Whippy start capitalizing on it. But after that, what happened to Books was not something that I could see. So we're under vertical safety car here. And this could work out very well for Whippy, who is 5th, and he has about 6 seconds, actually a little bit more than 6, closer to 7 seconds, 8 seconds, 9 seconds between himself and Cargo. So he could pit, and he wouldn't lose too much time. And that's exactly what he's going to do. He's going to come on and pit here under the virtual safety car. The other one, who is still on the soft tire compounds, is Stumpy. But Stumpy's going to stay out another lap. Stumpy is staying out longer on these softs than anyone else we have right now. And yeah, when Whippy comes back onto the circuit, he is going to come back in 8th by the looks of it. He will be he'll be behind Atwi and Waldo and Stumpy, but Stumpy has to stop. There's no way around it. So Whippy might be in a really, really good position, might still be pretending for top 7 positions in this race here. Now the big thing is going to be Atwi, as he has gone to the hard tire compounds. He's 7th right behind Waldo and Stumpy. If he plays it carefully, he should be able to get around both of them, especially Stumpy, because Stumpy has some of the most worn and worst conditioned tires on the entire field right now. The other driver, to take note of, is Cargo, who has gone ahead and also swapped onto the hards under that yellow flag. It's dropped into 4th, but he, as along with his teammate Atwi, will be able to stay on those hard tire compounds for the rest of the race today. And Cargo only has 3 people ahead of him. That is Snake, Joffrey, and Starfish. Not to mention, there's nothing but clean track ahead of Cargo. This is perfect for him. He just go up there and say good lap, good lap, good lap, after good lap, and he'll be perfectly fine here. There are Stumpy and Waldo having their own little fight here. Atwi is now right there involved in it, and Waldo's on the outside, Atwi behind them. Now Atwi has DRS, but so does Waldo in relation to Stumpy. So So on the run down to turn number 3, no one's going to make any move quite yet, although Waldo doesn't really get the inside of the corner lined up perfectly. So he's actually going to lose a little bit more time to Stumpy here. Stumpy, this is going relatively well for him, and Elephant Starfish has gone ahead. He is making his stop on lap 17, so not quite halfway through the race. He's jumping onto hards, so he also will not pit for the rest of the race. So it seems like medium hards are the way to go for a lot of the field here. And now Atsui is going to fall behind. No, Stumpy is pitted, so Stumpy is pitted now, as has Snake. So Stumpy and Snake is pitting. Snake is actually coming out of the pits, I believe, right now.
Stumpy's going up to medium tyres now. So the mediums will last from around 17 to the end of the race without losing much pace. So by holding out those extra couple laps, he's given himself a really good fighting chance. That's a great start from Stumpy considering his qualifying. Whoa, there's contact. Stumpy was nearly taken out by this time it.
Stumpy still has all the major pieces on his car, and as Retro continues his fight with Herbie, from what I could see, it looks like everything's still together on that car as well, but he's not made the pass work in relation yet. So right now, Joffrey, 17 laps on his medium tire compounds. He started on these, so the question is, this is about the time you say that the mediums will start dropping off. What does he do? Does he jump on the softs, or does he jump on the hards? You can jump on the hards and you won't have to pit again, but your pace is going to be really, really off. Or you can jump in the softs, but
the softs
really be aggressive on the softs.
The softs will last 18 laps on half-time fuel. I think if you put softs on now, you can last. That would be the option I would go for now.
It will be interesting to say the least. Jackson is now making his pit stop. He's run 17 laps on his tires. Waldo is the next significant driver who will have to stop. He is 5th on the board right now, and he has also put 17 laps on his medium tire compounds. It's going to get very interesting because Starfish, Cargo, and Atsui are all running hards until the end of the race. If Joffrey can jump on and put on softs and make the softs give him respectable times throughout the entire stint, he could actually make something good happen. I'm not saying it will happen, I'm just saying it's possible. You say good, but I don't think it's very good for Herbie. Herbie made contact with Retro and got sideways there. Starfish, fastest lap of the day on the hard tire compound, 107.190. So, I think on pure pace, Starfish may still walk out of here with the win by virtue of just having more pace than everyone else. The fastest lap time of the day set on hard tire compounds. That's pretty damning for the rest of the field. But yeah, Herbie's going to have to jump into the pits. He's run 15 laps on those mediums. He was one of the drivers who had to pit early on, so this is his second pit stop. I imagine when he makes his stop, it will be the last stop of the day for him. Smash! One Ferrari who is not a lap down yet, he has made his stop as he is now exiting the pit lane. He has jumped onto the softs. He seems to think that he can make the softs work for these final 17 laps. And another lap on the circuit for Joffrey in the Renault. Smash is in his own little battle with Schold. Schold is on 14 lap mediums. Another fastest lap, 107.146 by Starfish. So with these hard tire compounds, Starfish is going faster now than he was any time earlier in the race. So, yeah, this is not going very well for anyone who's not named Starfish when it comes to a chance for fighting for the lead here. But as I was saying, Schold and Smash are in their own little stalking battle. Schold is about a second and a half off of Smash, but Schold was up there earlier. I think if Schold can just put together a good lap, he might be able to get up there and fight with Smash once more. But now it looks like most of the battles on the circuit have pretty much dissolved. Everyone's kind of running their own place. The only real exception that you could say is between Careless Jackson and Smash. Smash is just close enough to Careless Jackson that he should be able to get DRS here on the second straight. So yes, so we do have a battle beginning to develop now for 12th between Careless Jackson and XRL Smash. Coming to that final corner corner, not final corner, the second corner. Again, DRS opens up the smash. Turbo, another 3-second time penalty. He's already a lap down game. I don't think it's really going to matter much for him. So yeah, smash trying to work on Carlos Jackson. In fact, he's on the outside of this corner, so he's not able to make anything happen yet, but he got a little bit of clean air on that front wing going into the corner. Having clean air through the corner is extremely important with these cars. They're so aerodynamically hypersensitive to make everything work. You need every bit of air, every bit of front wing air that you can get possibly. Smash still right behind Carlos Jackson. Jackson's on the hard tire compound, Smash is on the soft, so on pure pace you would naturally expect Smash to be able to make more things happen. And here it is right now. Gusty has gone ahead and pitted, so this is now a battle for the 11th position. And here are DRS open.
Let's see what he's going for. I'd be very surprised if he doesn't go for softs. He's going for softs.
And Elfin Starfish 107.0006 is now the fastest time on the sheet again. Joffrey may be on pace to breaking the 107 time in race today. No one seems to have anything to really fight with Starfish. It looks more like Joffrey's battle is going to be a matter of trying to stay ahead of Cargo and Ottawi. And for Cargo and not so much Ottawi because Ottawi's a lot farther back, but for Cargo, neither Cargo or Joffrey have to pit for the rest of the day. Joffrey's going to open up a lot of gap early on with the sauce, but as the tires start wearing away at the very end of the 14-lap stint, he's going to start losing time. Cargo will still be within prime operating range, so Cargo might be able to whittle it down and make something happen. And our first fastest lap of the day that isn't by Starfish is by XRL Smash. So Smash is really putting down some decent times right now. If he can keep it working, he might be able to catch Waldo and fight for a points-paying position. He is 11th right now, but he's about 6 seconds out from the battle between Waldo and Books right now, as the two of them are on the rundown into turn number 3 now. A little bit of a lockup for Waldo, but he has firmly positioned his car ahead of Books. Another thing, Gusty on the medium tire compounds has just about caught Schold, who is on 17-lap hards. Schold, again, I think the ideal thing for him is to stay out on these tires as long as he can, then jump in the last 5 or 6 laps, go on softs, and try to go for fastest lap of the race at the very tail end. I have to be bluntly honest for the Haas team. They've got the driver ability, but they've just not been able to put the strategy and the luck together. Gusty, his only point of making any points is to try and get fastest lap point at this point in the race. I said points a lot in that sentence.
Just looking at King Joffrey's interval to I'm pretty sure he's going to captain well before the end of the race. He's already saved.
But those softs. Well, those softs are... Oh, Starfish just got a 3-second time penalty, so that's going to make Starfish and Joffrey even when it comes to time penalties at the moment, actually. So, yeah, and now Joffrey, fastest lap of the day, 106.359, so the fastest lap's no longer going to Starfish, it's going to Joffrey. I thought you were wrong. Don't take this in an accusatory way, I thought you were wrong, but you might actually have a serious point here.
Yeah, that time is dropping, that gap is dropping. It's how long he can keep those softs alive for. That's the only question.
Also, though,
it's another thing to pass somebody as well. Somebody who's quick as Starfish, she knows how to defend.
We know that Starfish can defend, but we saw last week at France he got overtaken for the lead and ended up turning to the race win with 2 laps to go. Granted, he didn't defend very hard because he was under the impression that Retro, when he passed him, was not going to be able to take him due to the penalties that ended up getting changed. But either way, yeah, at this point, Starfish and Joffrey are even when it comes to penalty time, so if Joffrey can legit catch Starfish on the track, he'll legit have him. Speaking of Retro, not talked about him all day, 21 laps on the hard tire compounds. He'll probably stay on them as long as he can and then swap the sauce. He has worked his way up into the 8th position. Joffrey, 106.060, again, fastest lap. It's absolutely nuts what he's been doing right now. But as I was saying about Retro, he's in the 8th position, but the gap between himself and Books is only about 4 seconds, so and Books is one of the drivers on the hard tire compound, so he really needs to try and open up this gap as much as he can. So when he does go throw on the softs, he can hopefully still fight for at least 10 from the time sheets.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of drivers hoping for a safety car, so they get a free pit stop. Seems like this is going right now.
So meanwhile, I want to talk about someone else. XRL Whippy, very, very good race thus far, although I am a little bit concerned about how his tires are going to look. He's been running, or fighting at least in the top for the 5th place position almost all race long with XRL Snake. And Snake is no slouch. Snake has easily been one of our fastest drivers in the series. He's trying to run down Whippy right now. He's running hards compared to Whippy's medium, so I imagine eventually the race will go in Snake's favor. But considering that Whippy has been running top 5 all day long, when a lot of the season has been him coming kind of close to making decent amount of points and having it all fall away, this is extremely, extremely good for Whippy right now. Snake actually runs a little bit wide through there, and Books has gotten another time penalty. Now Books' race, as opposed to Snake, Books is gradually falling off. I would argue that on pure single lap pace, Books is faster than Snake, but he just has not been in very good positions when it comes to strategy, position, making contact with other drivers. He has dropped all the way down to 10th position. And as I say that, meanwhile, Snake and Whippy are now in a very direct battle for the 6th and 7th position. It looks like Snake will finally end up ahead of Whippy, but still, 6th place for Whippy is pretty good. If he can hold that together to the end of the race, it'll be a very, very respectable run today. Meanwhile, the gap between 1st and 2nd has now dropped to 3 seconds. The softs only have 4 laps on them for Joffrey. For Starfish, 9 lap hards. When do the softs fall out of prime operating temps? What, about in like lap 6, 7 or so?
Yeah, that's when you'll start to lose a little bit of time, but before they really go off, you've got a lot longer, at least 12 laps before you start losing time to the mediums.
Okay, well, he doesn't have to worry about losing time to mediums. He really only has to worry about losing time to hards. So, yeah, if you're saying he can go until lap 12, if he can just get into potentially DRS range of Elf and Starfish, he might be able to make something happen. Of course, the big thing is, even if he gets ahead of Starfish, those softs will eventually wear away at the very end of the race, while Starfish will still be an ideal operating temperature and wear, so...
Yeah, it's pretty close. But what's not been too targeted about is to be looking for ending to be really invited with 3 battles that's continuing to become into quietness.
Joffrey has taken off about 7/10 that lap, so the gap is about 2.3 seconds at the moment. It would be really, really upsetting for Starfish to have 2 races in a row where he dominates, leads almost all the laps, and then ends up losing the race in the last 5 laps. But Joffrey has put himself in a position to potentially make that happen. I'm not saying it will happen, but I'm saying he is putting himself in that position.
Whippy into the pits.
Yep, Whippy has gone ahead and jumped on the soft tire compounds. Now, the worst part about that is that's going to actually drop him out of the top 10 in positions, but he will have softs while almost everyone ahead of him will be running on either very worn softs or hard, so he will have significantly more pace to the end of the race than everyone else here. In fact, he's going to come out just ahead of Smash. If he can keep his tires warm, Whippy, if he can get his tires warm well enough, he will at least be able to get up to and by Books, and more likely around Retro. Retro, 25 lap hard, so impressive run by him. I half wonder if maybe he's going to try and run these hards to the end of the race. I would not feel comfortable doing that, but he might be trying to do just that to try and sneak out some extra points here. The gap between Starfish and Joffrey has stabilized. There was no significant change that last lap. Well, I shouldn't say that. 1/10 of a second difference with 7 laps to go. And Books! I can't see what happened to Books. There's Books. You can see him as we go by there. And that's going to be a virtual safety car now. Not a full safety car, but it's a virtual safety car. Yeah, this is going to open up the chance for a lot of drivers to go ahead, make their stops. Not really sure what happened to Books there. He's gone off and ruined the car on a relatively straight section of the circuit.
Get up, come on, dear.
And DRS is back enabled. We're back away, but it really came at the worst time for Joffrey. Joffrey actually lost about 4/10 in relation to Starfish there. Now they're back underway, and he's beginning to start closing the time again. He's back already to 2.1 seconds. So we only got about 6 seconds left. I mean, 6 seconds. We're not 6 seconds. 6 laps left in the session. Joffrey needs to improve on the rate of about a third of a second a lap just to catch Starfish, let alone overtake him. Joffrey really needs to make something happen. He needs to make it happen now, and I hate to say it, I think those softs are starting to go away from him enough now that he's holding even with Starfish. Again, Starfish has had some of the best overall lap times today. He's making those hards work more like they're mediums when it comes to pace. So I think this race might fall into Starfish's hands still. Not really a whole lot of other battles on the circuit, though there is of note that Boothie and Herbie and the AlphaTauris have both found themselves, and they both keep getting time penalties this entire race, and they're ranked 13th and 14th, so they would probably end up being lapped down by the end of today's race. It's really not going well for either of them. Also, to speak of someone else briefly, Whippy has worked his way up into the 9th position, so he is back in the points-paying positions. He's got Retro Rixie, who is about 3 seconds up from him, but Whippy's on the softs. Retro is on 27 lap hard, so I imagine that position will go to Whippy, assuming nothing goes terribly wrong. There's also Stumpy, who's another 4 seconds off the road. He's chasing Waldo at the moment. Waldo is on 7 lap soft, so for Waldo and Stumpy, it's a little bit more iffy if they'll make it to the end. I think they can if they're careful enough, but if not, they might set themselves up to being overtaken by Whippy before the end of the event. So a very, very solid run today by Whippy. And now, back to the battle between Joffrey and Starfish. Riding on board Joffrey, you can see Starfish. Not only can you see him, you can blatantly tell that is the person I'm trying to catch. The gap between Starfish and Joffrey, 1 second is now 0.95 seconds, in fact.
Less than
so here it is. 0.7, 0.6, 0.58, 0.55, 0.5, 0.48, 0.43, 0.4 going into turn 1, and he'll have DRS again. Now Starfish a lot smoother though through that first corner, so Starfish might have a good defense going through the corners, but Joffrey is in DRS range. He might be able to make something happen on Starfish here in these final 4 laps. They're also of note is they're both going to come up onto the lap traffic of Boothie and Herbie. Well, they're not lapped yet, but they will be lapped soon. They'll be coming up on Boothie and Herbie relatively shortly. If Starfish can get a good straightaway draft from the 2 cars ahead, he might be able to use that to defend against Joffrey for a bit. But the gap is now just a little bit over half a second, and when they get DRS on the front straight, and Otto gets the 3-second time penalty, when they get DRS open on the front straight and the second straight, that will definitely whittle away. It's about 8 tenths this time now. So Joffrey not as close as he was last lap. Starfish significantly faster mid-corner on average, but every now and then Joffrey seems to be able to hold it, and when he does, it enables him to really close the gap on the straight. Herbie will pull over, he will not be a direct factor in this battle for the lead. Schold, fastest lap, 105.973, so as I said, Schold will probably jump in, swap on the soft slate for the event to try and get a point for fastest lap. This is his chance now, but this is the battle for the lead we're watching right now. Joffrey looking on the outside! Wow! Starfish nearly ran Joffrey right off the circuit there. He will not be happy about that. Starfish just came off and went right up off the racing line and nearly pinched Joffrey into the dirt. Joffrey had his nose ahead for a second. The gap is still about a second, but those softs are going to start going away for Joffrey. He needs to make something happen. He needs to make something happen now. It will be better for him to be playing defense than to be playing offense as the tires go away. He does not have DRS this time on the straight. Will he have DRS on the next straight? No DRS by the looks of it.
That must have been so
yeah,
close.
it looks... He is closing the small bit on him on the straights though, irregardless of not having DRS. He was down, he's now within about 8/10, but again, every single time they go through a corner, Starfish beats him. I think Starfish might have just shifted the tide of this battle in his favor by running Joffrey wide through turn 3. Turn 3 is such a dangerous and treacherous corner that if you're not on the proper racing line, you're going to lose significant amounts of time. Joffrey is back within 6/10, but that took a lot of valuable time and tire life away from Joffrey here. We're not really focusing on other battles on the circuit right now, because although Gusty and Retro are actually having a little bit of a spat for 9th and 10th, this is really the real battle of note. Joffrey is within 8/10. He's still within 8/10. He should have DRS this time. Joffrey, another time second penalty. So yes, it looks like Joffrey should have DRS. He's closing in on a relatively respectable rate this time. Now onto the second straightaway, he'll have DRS again, but he's not close enough this time to make it happen, make it work. Not going into turn 2. He's looking, but he's not going to be there.
He's concentrating on his exit for this straight now. One last chance for DRS.
Those tires for Retro has completely gone away for him. He has now dropped all the way to 12. Here he is. He's got DRS. He's looking. He's in the aerodynamic wake. He's right underneath Starfish's rear wing, but not able to make anything happen, and it's a lap and a half to go.
I wonder if this is tactical, if he's thinking that if he gets past Starfish now, Starfish will have the DRS advantage on the final lap. So maybe
that's a good thought, but
it's a risky one.
I see with that. Yeah, that's a risky one, because I really don't have those confidence in those softs. He's got DRS again on the front straightaway. Those hards just were gone on him. He fell out of the points main positions, and to avoid him being a hazard on the track for other drivers, he probably swapped on the softs, so just to make it to the end of the race. This is it. This is the last real chance. Starfish is a little bit sideways coming out of turn 2. Joffrey within 4/10. He's got the DRS open. He's looking to the outside. Starfish defends. Starfish plants the car right in the way. That may have been the move that wins Starfish the race. Starfish moved over and took the air off of Joffrey's car. Joffrey has the ability to catch Starfish at the end of the straights, but he keeps catching him in the corner that you really can't make a good overtake at. He's going to have to hope that Starfish makes a mistake in these last 2 corners. I don't think it's going to happen. I think it's going to go to Starfish. But Joffrey's not going to be happy with the way that Starfish is pulling him almost off the track there with about 4 laps to go. So yes, Elfin Starfish will be your winner, and XRL and King Joffrey will finish second. Hard fought second, but second nonetheless. XRL Cargo has opened up a respectable gap between himself and Atui, so that's going to go in favor of Cargo on the final step on the podium and will help him with his points championship, along with Atui in 4th. XRL Snake is coming around now. Schuld has another 5-second time penalty. That was for unserved penalties. But Snake's going to come around. He will be the only Mercedes to finish the race in 5th. Here is Waldo. Waldo, he's made those softs last long enough that he will come home in the 6th position. So good job on his part. Here is Stumpy, and Whippy is going to make it. Whippy overtakes Stumpy at the last minute, and Smash has gotten involved in an incident.
Gusty and Smash have collided together in start sector 3. We're back on the whole lap.
Smash, it was looking good. He was in a position to potentially earn points. Now this is weird. So we saw Whippy get by Stumpy, but now the game has automatically flipped it to where Whippy is behind Stumpy. I'm not sure if maybe Whippy is serving penalties or not. But Whippy at least got 9th. I think he got 8th or 7th, but yeah. But anyways, once again, I want to congratulate our winner, who he didn't win last week, and he almost didn't win this week, but finally able to make it happen there at the very end. So congratulations to our race winner. That was a nutty end there, but that was some very aggressive defense on his part. I really do want to talk to him what he has to say for his race, and also good job on Atui for bringing home a podium position. It will really help when it comes to his points battle. In fact, Alfa Romeo as a whole performed very, very very good as a team, taking home 3rd and 4th. So yeah, there's your final results, and it looks like with Whippy, he just had to serve a bunch of penalties post-race, so that's why he ended up being dropped down to 9th. But anyways, here in the booth with us, we have Elfin Starfish 19, our race winner. Starfish, go ahead, include your audio. What do you have to say about your race?
That was a really tough race to do. King Joffrey going out the stops really put pressure on me. I struggled to keep him behind, to be honest. I'm surprised that I think his stops stayed around 2 laps before the finish, so my heart just took me the rest of the way.
Well, you definitely put in a hell of a defense, very aggressive defense as well, but you basically went flag to flag, leading every lap, so congratulations on that. It looks like this race will be yours, unlike last week where you ended up having it taken from you later on. So congratulations on what should be your first win of the season.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
And also we have here in the booth with us King Joffrey. Joffrey, you may not have won the race, but you put on some mad fast laps and went on for a hell of a duel there with Elfin Starfish at the very end of the race today. What do you have to say about your race?
It was a fun one. I didn't expect them to go on hards. I thought the medium soft was the best strategy. I did end up catching up, but I had penalties. Plus, once I caught up to him, my tires were dead, so I couldn't really pass him and get that gap. So props to him. He had a really good pace.
Indeed. Just saying that between the two of you, Starfish and you Joffrey set down more times. Basically, the counter today said that you guys put up fastest laps of the day more often than anyone else. Granted, other guys, I believe it was Boothy, got the pure fastest by jumping on softs at the very end, but you guys were on a league all on your own in pace today, so it was very much well worth seeing the two of you go at for a battle at the end. So thank you very much for putting on a spectacular show on our end.
Thank you for the show, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Well done, guys. Good job.
All right.
Well done, King Joffrey, put so much pressure on me, you don't understand.
Yeah, that was fun, man. That was fun.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, that's going to wrap up our X3 race here at Austria. And also of note is because our qualifying went a little bit faster than normal, and we didn't have too many significant stoppages or slowings in the race. We're actually ahead of time when it comes to our broadcast. We've not even gone the full 2 hours that I normally try to hit. We've not even come close to going over that. So, pretty nice little thing there. Quick and fun all the way throughout. But real quickly to you, Jono, what do you think would be the biggest things to take away from this race going forward?
I think we're going to keep an eye on King Joffrey and also Starfish when he gets to full-time seat. It's going to be a very interesting end of the season now. 10 races to go.
Yeah, no, I've got to agree. I think these two can end up taking a lot of points away from the Mercedes and the Alfa Romeos and the Renaults that have been, not Renaults, McLarens that have been fighting for points. So, you make an absolutely perfect point there. I think another big thing to take away from this was that a lot of people really seem to underestimate the softs, me included, and you were definitely able to make the softs work. I know King Joffrey said otherwise and said that the softs seemed to not really work for him at the end, but I don't really think the issue was the soft tire compounds too much at the end of the race. It looked more of a case it was just the aerodynamic wake was keeping him from following as close as he needed to in the corners more than the tires. So, but yeah, the other thing I'll really take away though is also congratulations to Whippy. I was watching him throughout the day. He didn't finish quite where he started the race, but he still ends up walking away here with points. So that's pretty respectful. Hopefully we start seeing that between Starfish winning and now Whippy earning points, we start seeing a resurgence in the fortunes for the Red Bull team going forward. On the other hand, Scuderia Ferrari continuing to have nothing but struggles. Neither of their drivers end up finishing the race. Well, one finishes, but not on the lead lap. So, yeah, very, very difficult there. But anything else you want to say before we start closing out our broadcast today here, Keanu?
I've got to go. I've got a race to prepare for. I've got fifth to pick up. But thanks a lot. It was great watching the race today. I had a lot of fun.
Yep, I have to agree. I've had an absolutely wonderful time watching this race as well. But anyways, I've been joined with the XRL Dono here. I've been Saint Lear 13. This has been X3 at Austria, and in a little bit on the alternate Extreme Racing League channel, you will be able to catch the X2 race, which will be here, and I believe Jonah will be in that one. So I encourage you to go ahead and check that out if you have nothing better to do today. Or even if you do have something better to do today, go ahead and change and cancel your plans, because X2 can also put on some really good shows from time to time as well. I can only say time to time because I'm not always there with X2. I can't always verify that. So I'm going to assume that they put on good shows all the time. But anyways, that has been the end of the broadcast today. Once again, thank you to the Extreme Racing League for letting me come on and do broadcasting with them. And congratulations to our winner once again. As we are now closing down, in 1 week's time, we will be back again with X3 on this channel. Until then, sayonara.